you don't want to wait till God makes it so unbearable where you feel you are forced to leave.
A person's wealth is determined by their assets, investments, and things that they own. I say true wealth is about how you live it. Your girl is back. Welcome to Wealth Within Reach. Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Within Reach. Okay, guys, this is a fun one for y'all today. All right, so I have an amazing couple. They are here. They do everything together. They do ministry together. They do business together. They're parents. They travel, all the things. Not only that, they are really passionate about helping to teach couples, especially faith mission couples, how to not only have a marriage, but also thrive together and also thrive in business. They're content creators. They're going to share the story of how they were able to go from, corporate jobs, side hustles, all the things to now being full-time entrepreneurs. They're going to break it all down. So if that's you and you want to figure out how do you become an entrepreneur in your family, how do you transition, how do you incorporate your faith into all the things you do, you want to make sure you listen to this episode. It is going to be phenomenal. Welcome, Shantel and Troy, to Wealth Within Reach. Okay, so y'all remember how I told y'all that last year I moved from the city, like the inner city, quote unquote. I don't like that term, but moved from the city to the suburbs. And it's not really the suburb. It feels like the country, right? Because, there's like 2-lane roads and I see deer every day. But here nor there. About halfway through the year, I decided, you know what? Now that I got my bearings straight and all the things, and my husband, he done met everybody in the neighborhood. I now am ready to meet new friends, okay? And so finally, when I spoke it and said I'm ready to meet new friends, I met this amazing couple that's here on the podcast today. Welcome, Shantel and Troy. Welcome, y'all.
We are happy to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sidebar, about a month ago, I hit a deer. Never thought I would ever.
Oh, no.
We did not move from the city
Yes.
for these deer antics in any way.
It's a real thing.
It's crazy.
Someone walk me through what happens, what you should do when you hit a deer. Yeah. Who knew that needed to be a conversation?
Seriously.
That's crazy. It's like life threatening.
And when I told people that we hit a deer, we didn't know how common it was. The way people were responding to us, we were like, "Wait, Tom, why are you talking about this so candidly? So
like it's an everyday thing."
Like, oh, did you pick deer? Did you get the deer hair? I don't even want to.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's things we never had to deal with in the city.
Same. Okay, so you guys are originally from New York, up north, right? Yep. Okay, so I remember when we had lunch, y'all told me that y'all met in middle school.
Yes.
That is wild.
Yeah.
You met in middle school, but you didn't date since then. You lived a whole life, a whole full life, and then reconnected.
Colorful life.
Very
colorful.
Very
Which I appreciate. We're going to talk about that why later. But okay, so how did y'all reconnect? Tell me about that.
So we were friends since middle school.
Yeah.
And for both of us, those years were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
For me specifically, they were one of the worst years of my life. I had 2 years there. Yeah. But Troy was actually a good memory, a kind memory. And so, and we were always just friends. Yeah. And so now you go through life, Facebook comes out, people start talking. He used to be a club promoter and in New York City. Yeah. And I was definitely a party girl.
Okay.
And so he'd always
you a high girl.
Out.
Okay, high girl.
That's right. So he would invite me out, and I'd say oh no. He was in a relationship. I was in a relationship. We were both engaged previously. Always just friends. Yeah. And then one day he moved to LA.
Yeah. Wait, sidebar real quick. She came to my 30th birthday party with a boyfriend.
Wow.
I was engaged and everything. We were friends.
Yes.
Always thought she was beautiful, but friends.
Wait,
yeah.
Your 30th birthday?
What? Sorry, not my 30th.
I
Sorry.
was like,
my
wow.
Bad. My bad.
You're 50?
No, yeah.
It was like your 20th.
You never know, though.
Yeah, sorry.
Black don't crack.
My 20-something birthday.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I was like,
this is how I tell the story.
Exactly. I usually just color in the lines.
It's okay. There's 3 versions. It's all.
There is, yes. So time goes on, and he moves to LA. He runs into a mutual friend, and she's like, "Hey, ran into Troy." And so I'm like, what is Troy up to these days? He hasn't hit me up in a while. So I go on Facebook and I see that there's no girl in his life, but that he's a man of God. He goes to church, he serves, that he's definitely still in the party scene. He likes to eat good food. And every now and then you'd see like 2 glasses of something. So you see him, he's dating.
Yeah.
There's 2 hands.
Okay, there's 2.
Yes. But you never see
the
his
hands.
face. Yes,
Oh,
the
okay,
hands
okay.
with, like, the plate and the drinks. You know how we used to do back in the day? And so I was like, okay. And I look at his profile photo and I'm just like, something is just hitting different all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like,
And
okay, Troy.
Yes, so
Troy 2.0.
Hey,
he's not middle school Troy
look
no
at
more.
God.
Exactly.
Come on.
So I Facebook him or whatever.
You
it's
slid in
called.
his DMs?
Yes. On
Okay,
Facebook.
girl.
Yes,
She did.
yes.
She did.
And I'm like, hey,
Yes,
what's up?
I love it.
And he says that he moved back to New York and is training. And I'm like, I need a trainer. I definitely did not need a trainer at all.
She did not need a trainer, y'all. She looked the same. Okay?
But I was going to a wedding in 6 months.
Yeah,
and,
all the
it
things.
Was in DR,
all the things.
You had to be ready.
Yeah.
And so, I definitely did not need to go into New York. I was living in like the suburbs of New York City. And so he trains me.
You wasn't in the suburbs. You was in Brooklyn.
I was in Westchester.
No, when you was training with me, you was in Brooklyn.
It was
all my
Westchester.
New York people, I have no
This is
idea.
why
They're
I
like
tell the story.
Londoners.
You lived in 555 Overton.
I was in Westchester. So
y'all sound like me and my husband.
Yes. So I did not need to travel at the time into New York City to
You're
get
going
trained.
out of your way.
Way out of my way, like a 50-minute train ride out of my way.
Yeah.
And so he trained me the first day. It happened to fall on February 11th. And our next session would have been on Valentine's Day. And so I said, oh my goodness, you don't have to train me on Valentine's Day if you have dates. I'd rather train you. So it was Valentine's Day. And he did have other options, 5 to be exact.
I did.
And so I'm like, okay, so we'll train. So like any 2 young New York City people, we train and then go for drinks afterwards. And there I asked him if he would be willing to take the String Finders assessment and about my business.
Full interrogation. Like I love her intentionality. She knew what she wanted. She wasn't playing any games.
Yep.
And I was at a point in my life where I was dating. I was dating 5 women, but I was open. The key, y'all, be open, be transparent with people. So I said, hey, listen, I'm dating, but I'm doing the process of elimination. I'm trying to find someone to be with. I was in the club scene, 19 years, been there, done that, got a t-shirt. I was done.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something real.
Yeah.
But I was choosing to work that day. So
you were like, okay, I'm willing to answer these questions and take this straight.
And I came in with a game plan. From the Facebook message, seeing it through to our first date.
I love
and it's interesting because I had dated a lot of people prior, not a lot, but enough, to know exactly like what God wanted for me, what I wanted for me, and so based on the profile, Troy seemed to fit the bill, and so now I wanted to see what the data said and take it to the next level.
Yes, so I love that.
And so he also was very honest and forthcoming. I had always been a victim of men lying to me and not being forthcoming and being honest, and he was very honest, still is to this day.
I love that.
So honest. And made it very clear that he was dating and that this is where he's at. I'm like, wow, you're being honest? Tell me more.
Okay. I got a question.
Yeah.
So similar situation. I met my husband in college. I remember like it was yesterday. We were at a pool party. I was over here with my homegirl I was definitely the hot girl out there too. And my husband was on the other side of the pool. And all I remember is seeing this tall black brother walking around without his shirt on. And I was like, who is that? And I went to Facebook because this age is us. I went to Facebook. He was not on social media. But then I seen that he was talking to a friend that I knew. And so anyways, we had a mutual friend and I ended up actually seeing him at a party and I like walked up to him. So question, Troy, how do you feel about like women sliding into men's DMs?
Go for what you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to me it shows intentionality. It changes things. I think it's kind of cultural. Society plays this role. It makes this picture out to be that we have to be the ones that are constantly seeking women. We know biblically it says he who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Right.
It doesn't say how she gets there. She can walk into your focal length. Then you can find her. She can come up to you, present herself to you, then you can find her.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait.
Right.
Be intentional about what you want.
Yeah.
So I think it's great.
Okay.
And I think it just changes the posture of men as well, that we don't always have to feel. It's okay for a woman to approach you.
Yeah.
It's okay. We want to be desired.
Yeah.
Right. I think when we become boyfriends, when we become husbands, when we become spouses, we want to feel desired. That's a feeling that we should want to feel.
Yeah.
I want her to, she knows my love languages.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I lay my head there. I want her to rub me and make me feel good. We want that. We deserve that as men.
Right.
We don't have to wear this toxic thing or this other masculinity thing. So I think very early on that just changes things. It can set that relationship off with really good intention.
I love that. I love that. So Shantel, what gave you the courage to even like to do that, to put yourself out there and even, you know, try and even, you know, you like literally you gave him a strength finder's test.
Yeah. Crazy.
Your first day. That was risky. You were like, he could have been like, no, like what gave you the courage to do that?
Prior to dating him, God really revealed to me who I was, what my value was. And I still didn't even have it right. I didn't even realize at that point that my value was in God. But I definitely learned more about my own self-worth and what I could offer a person and what they should be offering me.
Right.
And so because of that, I said, no more games, no more BS. I'm not going to be passive anymore. I'm going to be assertive. I know what I want. I know what I deserve. And I gotta go for it.
I love it.
Go for it.
And that made me take her seriously immediately. Because remember, I told you, doing the process of elimination, dating, I'm looking for intentionality.
Right.
I'm looking for someone to reciprocate.
Right.
Right. And to match me where I'm at.
Right.
And she had that. I'm like, okay, this woman is strong. She's powerful. Right. She's got this aura to her that says like, I'm about my business. I'm intentional about what I want. Looking for those qualities in the person I'm going to spend my life with or potentially date. How can we get it together? We ain't gonna have it all together.
Yeah.
But can we come together and get it together?
I love it.
Can we build, you know?
And I will also add the friendship piece because I know that we didn't meet in middle school for no reason.
Yeah.
And if he was brand new and he just like, I just randomly asked some man to train me and then the next day I'm giving him all this, like that's a serious conviction.
That's true.
I did not have that.
Good disclaimer.
Yeah, so
that's good.
And still to this day though, we say we are friends first. Always. Friends always. He was so kind to me in a time of life that was very traumatic for me. And he just maintained just being kind as we continued to grow older. So I didn't even know much about him besides him just being cool Troy from like the block. And that's what he continued to be. And now you layer that on with honesty. You layer that on with his love for his mom, for his family, for Christ. And it's like, okay, receiving God and to say, okay, like go for it. But the friendship part really matters.
I fully agree.
And still Troy from the block, don't get it twisted.
No, I fully agree. Even like with our story, like when we first kind of met and got together and then we ended up like breaking up, we continued to be friends and we actually spent less time trying to, you know, be all into each other and establish a friendship. And despite like a lot of the hard times we've had, our friendship for one another has helped us to continue to keep going, to continue to fight, you know, to continue to invest in our relationship. So I fully believe that. I tell couples like all the time when they are getting together or whatever, or even when they're dating, I'm like, focus on being friends.
Come on.
Friends, because I know couples who are married and they are not friends.
Listen to me.
And it is not cute.
At
all.
We see, I think it was back in 2023 or 2024. Number one reason why couples ended up divorcing is because of lack of commitment to the relationship. And it didn't even mean infidelity, but it meant lack of commitment to their marriage. So they grew apart. They were no longer friends. And that's what happens. And so by maintaining being friends first, always.
Good soil.
Helps
good soil.
that.
For sure.
That friendship foundation is good soil. And I think, you know, when we think about relationships, we think about things, people are like, oh, I love this person. Do you like them? Liking a person is completely different.
Very much.
I can love you. If I loved you, I'll always love you in some capacity.
I love a lot of people.
I love but to like that person.
Right.
Because it's different. It's like, okay, you got great in your marriage and your relationship, you got great energy, great sexual chemistry.
Right.
How you treat each other when y'all can't? Be intimate on that kind of level.
How
do you treat each other when that one's sick? Do you enjoy? Do you just enjoy? Can y'all sit in the same room in silence and just be at peace?
Right.
Can you just be in the same room and just a little gentle touch and just be okay? Like, do you really have that intentionality in the proximity of the relationship? That is the thing, you know? So loving someone, gotta love them.
Yeah.
But liking your spouse,
Oh, that's a
liking them,
different.
it hits different.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk later in the episode just about, because y'all have to like each other, because y'all do a lot of things together. So we're going to get to that a little bit later, you know, how y'all function and doing all these things together.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, you know, how did it start? So you were teaching, and it sounds like you always Troy had like this entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Can y'all talk to me about like your past career journey?
Remember, she mentioned the club scene.
Yep. Club promoter.
19 years.
Wow.
So 19-year club promoter in New York City. Outside of that, I was a personal assistant for a singer, very popular Grammy-winning singer. In my time working for him, read a book, Paul Coelho, The Alchemist, speaks a lot about.
That's one of my son's favorite
personal
books.
Yeah, it's a great book. Speaks about personal legend. And what I really realized from that book is like, this guy's a multimillionaire. He's a Grammy-winning singer. His life, his legacy's intact.
Yeah.
I am made to be more than doing this for him. And at that time, I was making, you know, I was a young guy, pretty young, in my early 20s, making $120,000 a year, getting $80 a day per diem for food. I had an Audi A8 that would drive me everywhere. I didn't need a car. I was good.
You had a driver.
I had a driver.
Wow.
And walked away from it.
Wow.
Because I just felt like there was more to my life.
Yeah.
But I also had somebody invested in me early on in life that every dollar is not a good dollar.
Yeah.
So money doesn't run me.
True.
So I'm able to walk away from things if they don't fill my soul.
Yeah.
So I walked away from that. During that time, I got into fitness. I lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
60 of those pounds I lost in 9 months.
Wow.
And got into personal training, and then God just kind of just breathed into me in that. And I won Best Fitness Instructor in New York City in 2019. I've been in every magazine. I was a Lululemon ambassador, sponsored by a ton of different companies, and GQ, Travel and Leisure, and God gave me influence in that career.
Yeah.
And I was doing that simultaneously with club promoting until I could fully break out of club promoting, which brought me into influencer marketing. And I kind of got into that early on. But I didn't want to be the guy at that point in my life that was just half naked on Instagram, teaching you how to deadlift, how to swing a kettlebell, doing thirst trap stuff. Like, I saw what was going on. I was like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't me. No shade. I learned very early on that when the deals started coming in, if I get sponsored by Gatorade, then I can't work with anyone else. If I get sponsored by this, you can't work with anyone else. I was going to marginalize myself and pigeonhole myself financially.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to create lifestyle content because there's more to me than fitness.
Right.
Let me show you how fitness plays a role in my life.
Right.
How I get dressed in the morning with these, you know, so I started doing all that lifestyle stuff, and that kind of opened up kind of the influencer marketing stuff that we were able to do.
I love that.
That brought us together.
Question before we go to Shantel's story. So did you have like family members, or were there entrepreneurs in your family? Like, what made you even, because you're a hustler at the end of the day. Like what you just told me is that you're a hustler.
Yeah. Tried and true all day.
Okay.
Hustler, literally, like guerrilla marketing. We ain't even have the way these people throw their flyers out and get people to come to their parties. We ain't have none of that.
Wow.
I used to go in Foot Locker. I used to go to Jimmy Jazz. I used to go to security guards. Every girl that's cute in here, put a flyer in her bag. Here's $100. No shade.
So where'd that come from?
It just, I think it was in me. But what I realized by speaking to my family is, like, my mother always had a job. My aunts, everyone had jobs. But on the weekends, we would go to the flea market. They would sell stuff. My family would make jewelry. They would do all kind of different things. So they were very early on at diversifying their financial portfolio. We're never going to put all the eggs in one basket.
Right.
So when I learned that about my family, I was like, no wonder this is in me. But I just took it a level further, standing on their shoulders, that I wanted to be fully independent. I've had a ton of really? I would get fired. I couldn't keep it. I didn't want to go. Like, I'd have bosses that, man, I'm like, man, I gotta listen to this guy? Really? Like, I gotta listen to this guy?
We call that unemployable.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what God postured me, and I try to encourage people and businesses to take this model on, is that people don't work for you, they work with you. When you get people, this is leadership, right? As a leader now in a church building, people work with me. They don't work for me. You have to give people ownership so that they can believe in it. If this is our mission, right? And we're both doing the thing, you're going to put a little bit more in. But if you just tell me I'm working for you, guess what? You're going to get your 8 hours.
You just tick and mark. And
I'm out.
No,
that's it.
Good.
And I'll see you for my 90-day review. And I need that advancement. And I'm out. And don't call me on the weekend, don't call me on nothing. And not my monkey, not my circus.
Right.
But when I'm investing,
it's a different beast.
You get the beast.
I'm
gonna put it in. Because I'm invested.
No, that's good. That's good. So how did you get into teaching?
My parents had raised me on having a stable, secure job.
Mhm.
That was my number one thing that I always had to work towards.
Mhm.
And so very early on, it's like, what are you going to college for, and what's your job going to be? So I got into education by like happenstance. Another whole long story, but that's where I went. I was very smart, mathematical in my thinking, analytical in my thinking, and loved kids. So go into teaching. So I was in education for 15 years. I started out as a math teacher, then went into elementary school teacher, then a coach and enrichment teacher for other teachers. I co-founded a school in Brooklyn, a STEM school, which is awesome. And then from there, served as an assistant principal in 2 different school districts, a director of equity and inclusion and diversity. And then finally, in my 15th year, and this is after like every year, I just kept feeling something in my soul, my gut saying like, this is not for you. And I went in there with it, not even with me, truly not wanting to do it, but being good at it and needing stability and security and financial, and just financial security. And so, so I kept going and I kept making more money. And by
Golden
my 15th
Handcuffs.
year, I was almost at $170,000. I was the breadwinner for our family at the time. Everything he just said, I was like, that's fun. Like, that's good. But
fun.
It's fun. It was fun work that he did.
She's like, oh,
it was fun.
Your little project for the week.
But for me, I had the benefits. I had everything that I thought I needed to have. But yet I was truly dying like this slow, painful death. And it was just like, okay, I feel like I'm called for more. So I would keep going from school district to rural, and
trying to find it within.
Exactly. I thought that I had to just keep climbing or go wider. And I never even was really like, it wasn't never about the money. You don't go into education for the money, but it just so happened that that where I ended up was one of the highest paid school districts in the country, right? And I also felt like I could do the most work with diversity and equity in the kind of suburban school district that I was in. And I was like, this is great, but still it wasn't enough to pour into my soul. And again, at this time, I didn't have this relationship with Christ that I have now. So I didn't know what it was, but I knew I couldn't be there forever. So I was in education the entire time. And my parents, my dad specifically, always had passions. And he'd say, hey, if you want to leave it, like, don't leave education. This is your benefits, your pension, your this.
Your insurance.
Go find a hobby. Go do a hobby. And I'm just like, but I love to work. I do love to work. And so I'd go home and always be working. On the weekends, want to do school events. And so like I was super invested. I love the people I serve. So it consumed all my time. And so did I still have hobbies and passions? But I wasn't trying to monetize it at all. And I saw what he was doing. And so I served as his like assistant for a long time. But again, it was just like, I'll help you make a video. I'll take a picture. Oh, you need some feedback on your caption? Okay, but let me get back to the real work. So that was my career.
And it's not that I resented her for it, but she didn't take what I was doing seriously.
I didn't.
She did not at all. I'd be on my phone. I'll be doing something. She's like, are you even working? And I'm like,
did you do that list of what I asked you to do earlier?
Because
you're not really doing nothing.
Trust me. So funny, right? The business, the social media marketing businesses started off with a little deal here, a little deal here. Then it started to generate serious income. To the point where it's like, okay, this is like, she stopped being a principal. We moved to Georgia on one income, which was this income. And she's also trying to figure out everything under the sun she wants to be. Because remember, breadwinner, Ivy League grad, super, she's doing it her way. So thank you, Lord, for the grace that I had, because my girl was like, I'm going to be a doula. I'm gonna be a personal trainer.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. We gotta back up because we can't just slide over that transition. Girl, that's good. That's good. Okay, now that I have you, isn't that conversation so good? Aren't you ready to take it to the next level? If you're here and you've been binging all my YouTube episodes and you are ready to buy your first or next investment property, but you just don't know where to start, you just need help to figure out what exactly do I need to do based on my specific situation to figure out how to get to the next level. If that is you, I invite you along with all of my mentees, to join us in my Pathway to Purchase Your First or Next Investment Property program. This program is so amazing. This is how you are actually able to work with me directly. Here's the beautiful part about this program. You pay one time and that's it. It comes with lifetime access. Everybody repeat, lifetime access. There is no renewal fees, no annual fees. You get access directly from coaching from me. Every 2 weeks, you're going to be able to chat with me, figure out what your specific situation is. I'm going to be able to help you overcome it. Plus, you have access to over 50 on-demand trainings that's going to walk you through everything. If you're just now learning about what all this real estate stuff means to I want to actually scale and buy my next multifamily property. It's going to teach you everything in between. And here's the best part. With the 50 plus on-demand courses, you aren't just learning from me. You're learning from the best and the best in the industry as well. You're learning from Dr. Joe about property management. You're learning from Dominique about out-of-state investing. You're learning from my top contractors on how to work with contractors. This program is so amazing. I even include checklists and SOPs and downloads. So if you buy a property and you have a tenant and you don't know what to do, guess what? There's a checklist for that. You're getting ready to do a renovation and you need a contractor agreement, guess what? There's a contractor agreement with that. I'm able to basically just provide everything for you. Why start from scratch when you have access to a program that is done for you? You have the support you need and you have the community. I want you to join me in the Pathway to Purchase Your First or Next Investment Property program. And guess what? Because you listen to this podcast, I'm going to give you a little discount. If you go to the link in the bio or onlylivingit.com and you enroll today and hit P2P500, I'm going to give you $500 off. Yes! I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Come join me. You basically had the golden handcuffs. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who watch this podcast who also high income earners, professionals, and they are in these jobs and they are not feeling fulfilled. Yeah. And they want to do other things, but the way their life is set up, it's just like really hard to like make that leap. Yeah. So we have to unpack, like, first of all, talk to me if you can go back. And describe to me, how are you feeling? Like, what is actually showing you that you need to make a change? And was there a moment where you were like, okay, this is it?
So 5 years into education, I learned that within 5 years, 90% of teachers quit. And I was sure that wasn't going to be me. So I overcame that. Yeah. Then I said, okay, well, I want to find what I want to do, but I'm going to wait until I have our first child, because then I'll be on maternity leave and then I'll be able to figure it out. Yeah. When our first son was born, it was a traumatic experience. And so all I wanted to do was just be the best mom ever and go to like mommy and me yoga class. Yeah. So that's all I did for my entire like 8 months off. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, now I'm back at the office. Now I'm as a mom and it became difficult, but the pandemic hits. Right. And so it's like, okay, so now I'm actually feeling more useful in my job because I was able to do everything digitally. Yeah. And I have a passion and a skill set for producing and for videos. And so that's all school was for like a year. So I was like, oh, this is great. Maybe I found my fulfillment. So now I'm getting recharged. I'm making my circumstance like work for me. Yeah. But then I go back and I'm just like, here it is back again, the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. And it just continued to build on me where I felt something inside of me, which I now know is Holy Spirit saying, like, you need to move, you need to go. But I was always waiting for the right time. Yeah. So then I said, okay, later. Exactly. I said, when I get, let me try this other role. So I went for another role and I didn't get it. I've always gotten every position I applied for. Yeah. So I was like, why is God, like, this is God saying no, but why? Yeah. And so I read that as a sign of like, you really need to get out. And so now I'm pregnant again and we're looking for a place to live. And it's becoming very, very clear that God is making it so difficult for me to stay where I was. And I felt like the walls kind of closing in. I was unhappy. I was like getting stress hives. I'm now pregnant with our second child. I wanted to make sure that the pregnancy was good, but the conditions of where I was working at became very stressful. And it came to a point where if I stayed, like there was no, God just made it so uncomfortable. And so my suggestion to everyone who is facing this is you don't want to wait till God makes it so unbearable where you feel you are forced to leave. Yeah. When you're forced to leave, now you become impulsive in your decisions. You just will pick up any other job. It's like, okay, you become more like scatterbrained and all over the place. Which is why I went to look for 1,000 jobs when we finally left. I did it because we felt so tight. But now it's like, but what am I going to do? And so don't wait till it becomes so unbearable. Start now where you're thinking about what is it that God has equipped you with? What is it that he is leading you towards? What problem is he leading you to try to solve? And start spending some time, devote some sort of time into that slow and steady. So that way when you finally are ready to go, it's not because it's you know, it's been 24 months, but it's actually because you see that it is going to still be able to provide assistance for your lifestyle, right? You don't want to put yourself exactly, and then it's time. So I felt a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and also a lot of just like, what is happening? I have to go. So I don't suggest that method for those.
I love that. So I had a similar situation where I had been applying for every job and all of a sudden I wasn't getting it. And I was like, wait, what? And you know, I had like the letter of recommendation from the hiring manager and all the things. And it was God like, nope. I ended up leaving in a more comfortable place instead of being forced. But I did witness what you just said with my dad. My dad was basically for 30 years, he moonlighted. Like what the term is for the young people that don't know, that's when you have like a side hustle. That's what we call side hustle nowadays. And so he flipped cars on the side, legit my whole life. And I remember growing up, like he worked for this company, for this same family that owned this like trailer business for 30 years. And I constantly remember him having a side hustle. That is what gave him life. That's what people knew him by. And he had this desire to want to go full time. But he just felt like he couldn't do it on his own. And, you know, my mom is very much safe and secure, so she couldn't help him. And then, so it wasn't until the business ended up going bankrupt. And they literally closed the door.
No choice.
And he had no choice because he had these skills that he had his whole life. And then he went from 30 years, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, to being forced to do it. And he said now, back in the day, he was like, I would make in a day what I would make for a whole week. And he looked back with regrets because he didn't go out sooner because he just was waiting on that right circumstance or didn't think he could do it. Even though it was a little bit more friction. I love that you guys, the Lord, like use y'all's history and experiences and put y'all together. And, you know, the influencer marketing was taken off. And then talk about how, like, she helped you with something or something real quick. And then that was a light bulb went off.
A light bulb went off. There was one campaign that we did for a baby company. And I mean, she was like, let's just try some new camera angles. Really good stuff. It changed everything. Wow. And I was like, babe, I think we need to do this together. And she was like, I don't know. Like, I've been begging her. This is, like, we will make this company our company. Like, we're going to do what we got to do. We can make a majority use. So we, you know, and she finally did say yeah to it. And that opened up the door for endless opportunities. But through that in itself, we just found out that there were ways to truly enrich our marriage. Like, our conversations went from being like, oh, what are we going to have for dinner? What are we doing this weekend? To like vision board, strategizing, what our company's going to look like, what we're going to be able to do, how we can be impactful together. Like, we would do what we call our outdoor office, because now we had the financial freedom and the autonomy to go outside at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday and have margaritas on a rooftop and have a business meeting. Like, we would just hang out places. And that was the goal. The goal was to have the freedom to be present with our children, to not have to be bind to a desk. Or like I get
or even a location.
Like I get chills. Like when I think about someone saying, hey, like you got 20 minutes left on your lunch break. I don't ever want to feel what that feels like again. That's not to shame anybody. But for me, for us, knowing that we've been there, like we wanted to be present. I didn't have a dad growing up. To be present for my children matters to me. To enjoy the company of my wife, for my work wife to be my real wife. That's my thing. You feel me? I don't want nobody that's with my wife for 8 hours and knows my wife better than me. She come home, I got her for 2 hours. The kids got her for 2 hours, and then we just know each other on the weekends.
Part-time.
That's not sustainable for a marriage. There are people out here that know your spouse better than you do. They know the inner workings of your marriage, what you got going on. You just met them for the first time. Like, hey, how was golf lesson? Like, how you know what I was doing, right? Like, we wanted to make sure that we were able to prioritize our relationship and our presence for our kids.
Yeah.
And working together gave us that, but it also gave us the opportunity to truly be impactful for God's kingdom.
So I love it. That's how we met at church, kind of. We were talking and we were like, oh, somehow we got on like what we do or something.
Yeah.
And you told me, oh yeah, we're Spartners, spouses
That are business partners.
who are business partners. I was like, what? And I loved it.
Yeah.
And then also,
It's cheesy good.
no, it's so good. It's so good. And I was like, did you trademark that? You need to trademark that.
Yeah.
But like, I love being able to meet other entrepreneurial couples, right? So talk to us about Spartners and why should people do business together as a couple?
First and foremost, disclaimer is Spartners are for people that are in a healthy relationship. So you need to be in a place where you are trying to take your relationship from good to great.
Yeah.
So you got to have a healthy foundation. There needs to be communication, healthy friendship is important. Trust is important. Loving that person and being like, we have a healthy thing that we want to take from good to great. But the benefits are, I mean, there are endless benefits. And outside of the financial freedom, the autonomy is, even if you started a small business with your spouse, you started a side hustle, you start moonlighting, it just opens up enrichment in your marriage. When again, the conversations go from surface level conversations. We deep. We like to go deep.
Yeah.
We're the friends. Don't ask us how our day. We're gonna tell you.
For real.
I'm like, hey, what's good? How you feeling? What's your soul today? Like,
I love it.
So we wanted that, and we believe that this is now this isn't the only way. There's so many ways that you can enrich your marriage.
Yeah.
But for us, we believe that this is truly one of the ways to do that. It's working with your spouse. You guys start a side hustle. Of course, it can take off. You can leave your jobs. Now you guys got a amazing corporation, but it could also just it add value to you in a way that you never thought possible by bringing you closer, because you guys have to use each other's strengths and weaknesses. And
if I can just add on, just biblically speaking, like God has called man and woman to work in partnership together. And for us, the way we interpret that, when we see in Genesis where it says, you've been commanded to take dominion over the world or over the earth, it's not just in your household with your children, but it's also within your community. It's also serving and with whatever gifts he has equipped y'all with to now pour that out into your community and serve. For us, when we moved to Georgia after we left my career, we really had to be quiet and surrender and submit to what we were feeling. Again, at the time we didn't have the language for it, but it truly was Holy Spirit bringing us closer to him, which as a result brought us closer to each other. And once we started to work together, we saw, oh my goodness, like we actually have more time together. We actually can be with the kids. We actually have a deeper connection, better intimacy. Again, as he mentioned, better conversation, because we had the same goal. And the goals went beyond cooking dinner on every Friday and Saturday. The goals went beyond a date night every 2 weeks. The goals went beyond, just
vacation once a year.
Exactly. Those goals went beyond just household goals. These goals now have transcended into truly helping people. And so, and through the business, creating content and this. And so it's like, we see our synergy just become so much stronger and our relationship becomes so much stronger and our conflict resolution becomes stronger because I was passive aggressive. And so in our marriage, it would take a long time to get to the solution. But now that we work together, I had to overcome that and be like, okay, this is what it is. He had to
seriously, because we had things to do.
He had to let go of his ego and be like, okay, I got to listen. And now we're moving. And so our marriage then was able to truly just grow on a more exponential, a faster pace. Because of the amount of time and energy we were investing into each other and the ways we were. When we say become business partners, you can make more money for sure, but you can even serve together, become kingdom partners.
We say that all the time,
and serve in the ministry. But when you can come together with the same goal at the end of the road, you'll see how God will just strengthen your relationship to walk better and more efficient and stronger together. Your marriage will be fruitful, and what you offer others will become fruitful as well.
I love that. I love that. And also what I love about Spartners is that you help couples, you teach them and give them permission on how to incorporate their faith into business. So last year, I hosted a conference called the Owning and Living Experience. And on Sunday, during the conference, I had a praise and worship service. We had praise and worship, and we had a friend that shared the gospel with his prayer. And people were like, I have never been to a real estate conference where we had like praise and worship. And they were like, what made you do that? And I was like, I didn't need a permission to do it. Like, this is an extension of who I am. Anytime I teach a webinar, I literally start with, I'm a believer in Jesus. This is the lens that I see the world. And I have lots of people in the various faiths part of my community, and so they're welcome here. But this is the lens that I'm speaking from. Like, talk to that, how you help couples infuse faith into their business as also a part of Spartners.
Everything starts with your relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
And so before anything, we help couples or people see that they need to have that relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
They need to both have their own relationship with him, so that way they can experience it with their marriage, with their business partnership. So one is that. Second is prayer. We are huge advocates, obviously, for prayer. So prayer through
Changes
anything,
everything.
and incorporating prayer into your decision making, into all that you do, is prayer. Thirdly, is that consistent surrendering and submitting to God's call on your life, or what God is telling you to do. And for me, this really hit home because both Troy and I had this encounter weekend where we both had an encounter with Christ. It's a whole nother episode. But
well, I gotta come on y'all podcast and
yes,
talk about that.
But from there, I realized that not only as I'm type A, controlling, very ambitious, always, so I realized not only did I need to surrender and submit to Christ, but I needed to surrender and submit to him. And that was
a game
so
changer.
freeing.
Yeah.
It's a huge game changer because this is like, I don't know, 7 years into our marriage now, where I thought I submitted to him, but I definitely didn't. I definitely didn't when I know what it is post
It's
this
the submitted
encounter.
to him for me.
Right. It was tough. I mean, it's so hard to say at times. Like,
I know, because it has a whole thing behind it. Yeah.
But as someone, as you mentioned, who graduated Ivy League school, breadwinner, this and that, to actually submit to him, did wonders for our relationship. And so that is another thing that we share, especially to wives who also
are ambitious and go-getters.
Right. But what made it easy for me to do was that I know that he had that relationship with Jesus. And that is our number one. Right. He's not exactly. I trust that God is holding his hand, leading him to direct our family.
It's easier for your woman to submit to you when you're not leaning on your understanding. If you have the spirit of discernment, if you are leading your household correctly, and you know that where her submission comes by honor. As a good leader, I'm to honor her. So that makes it easier. I have a few brothers, my wife's wild. She don't trust you. She don't know where you're going to lead her. You need to make it very clear where you're going to lead her. She's afraid. So she's acting out in these ways. You feel emasculated because she doesn't trust you yet, but you haven't given her reason to. You need to show her. You need to really practice discernment. Bring that to the Holy Spirit. In regards to another way, I just want to speak to the more practical side of ways that we talk to businesses and kingdom businesses. We have 3 P's that we live by in our business model. And we try to help people live this out in their business. And that is that we are people first, right? So we're people focused. We are purpose driven. We are people, purpose, then profit. So everything. So in your business model, right? We exist for people. We are here to cultivate and serve God's people, right? When you think about your purpose, why do you exist as a business?
That's good.
And for us, when we're talking to businesses or organizations, when you were not just talking about metrics in your pitch deck, you were not just talking about profit margins, you were not just talking about key performance indicators. When you were pitching to get investors, you were also talking about the mission, who you were serving, why you existed, what you want to do. 99% of entrepreneurs exist to serve a problem. For who?
The
people. Right? After all of that happens, then we get back to the profit. We need money. We know it. It's utility. We can never outwork our dollars. But if you're smart, you use money. You can never outwork your money. Everyone I know growing up that had 3 or 4 jobs is broke. You got to use your money as a dollar, as a utility to make more money for you. But then when you have that, what do you use it? You got to put that back into the people, back into the purpose, and it just continues to fuel itself. So we can go into an organization that's not Christian at all. And we don't even have to say, we don't have to come in here and say, hey, we love Jesus, everything. We can just, this is modeling out what it's about first. Putting people first, seeking first the kingdom of God, and then blessing his people. We have a relationship with him this way that he wants us to live out that way. That's the cross. So that's what we want to do.
I love it.
That's what we're called to do. We can go into business and we can give them these principles, and they don't even know.
Nope.
You're walking it out.
They know something different.
But it'll get
that's
them.
how.
It'll posture them.
Yes.
You know.
That's good.
And the last thing is we always say marriage over business. So for
MOB.
Spartners, you must always keep your marriage over business.
MOB.
Yeah.
Couples who work together are more likely to get a divorce
Yeah.
than those who don't work
Yep.
together, because it
Yep.
is tough. It can be very tough to work with your spouse if you don't have a healthy foundation built on Jesus. So with that, we always prioritize marriage, always remind our people, our community, that you must always focus on your marriage before business.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
First ministry is right here. I'm gonna put this first above everything else.
That part.
And I gotta trust the Lord that He will provide and do everything.
Mhm.
So whether that's our leadership in our church,
Yeah.
our leadership in our marketplace, I'm gonna give everything I have to my marriage, my family,
Right.
and trust that God's gonna bless whatever's left.
Yes.
The way He broke them loaves and that fish, same thing's gonna happen.
And that has been so important for our success in working together, in liking each other, and remaining friends still. We both respect each other's roles. So I, again, love to work. I'm always like, and he loves to work too, but he loves to have a good time, right?
So
and so he has to remind me
Yeah.
to take a break, to go for a walk, to take a date in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
I do.
And thank
I do.
God for
I
that.
do.
In the beginning,
I do.
it was difficult
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm like, but we have to work. We have deadlines.
Yeah, and I had to be like, breathe,
Right.
because I have a model in life.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this one to the camera: simplicity scales, complexity fails.
Mm.
If I'm about to be 43, God has given me the word for the year for my family. It was simple. I want to do a few things right. I don't need to do everything. I don't need to be everywhere with everyone.
Right.
Busy doesn't mean productive, right? And if we think about being good entrepreneurs, we want to be efficient.
Yes.
Being efficient with my time means I get hours back in the day.
Right.
So I had to tell her, we got to do these few things well, execute on them, and that's all we do.
I love it.
That's all we do. If you go to a good restaurant,
Right.
they got 5 good things on the menu. Cheesecake Factory got what, 40? There's a Bible book.
It's too much. It's too much. You actually touch on something that's really good. And I think it's something we can end with.
Yeah.
Man, we talk about wealth within reach.
Yeah.
We could talk about financial freedom, all those things.
Yeah.
But let's talk about wealth of community, of relationships. Folks are tired. Folks are lonely.
Yeah.
Folks are done with like the fake relationships.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've appreciated about our new friendship is like we started off from the beginning like, look, okay, ain't nobody got time for no fake relationships.
Straight like that.
This is who I am. Who are you? What's up? You know? And I love that, right? Like how important is community in being able to be a sustainable couple marriage to be able to thrive and not end up like one of the statistics.
If we're going to think about community as wealth, community is currency. Community is the most important currency. Community relationships will open doors for you that money can never open for you.
Right.
Relationships will put you in rooms that money couldn't put you in. Right. God doesn't have arms and legs. He uses people to bless people. Prioritize relationships, especially with everything that's going on right now. People are uncertain. People are scared. People are confused. Lean on your people. Lean on community. That is the true wealth. When we think of wealth, it is the people that God has placed in your life.
Absolutely.
Lean on them.
Be open to receiving people. You mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah.
You said, okay, I'm fine. I'm open now. Right. And then God sent people. And I've met so many women specifically who are so closed because they've been hurt, they've been burned, they've just been misused. And they're like, I don't know, anytime I let my guard down, let someone in.
Will they judge me? Will they accept me?
We care so much. And so my call is for women, men, anyone, to just be open, to trust in the Lord that He will bring people to you who you need in this season. Doesn't mean that they will be your lifelong friend forever. Maybe not.
Right.
But are they here for right now? Like potentially, yes. Trust that. Pray for that. And people will come. But to be open to receive those people so that way you can build your community.
I love it. I
say the last thing I say is be intentional. I'm meeting friends. I'm like, God has been blowing my mind with the people that He's bringing in my life.
Yeah, my husband is constantly hanging out with you.
This is my dog. This is my guy.
I said you just had lunch with him on Monday.
Let me even tell you with him. I said phone calls and voice notes work well for me. I'm old school. I don't really like texting like that. If it ain't my wife, my mother-in-law, or my mother, I don't really got time for the texts like that. I'm the old school. I like to get to it, but I know that can come off like let's do this. But no, it's intentionality because I actually really want to prioritize the relationship. So for me to be the most intentional version of myself, I at least have to put those communication methods out there for whoever I'm talking to. Whatever they choose to do with it, they do with it. But it lets you know, hey, I really value this. In order for me to stay consistent with it, because someone will send me a text, I'll get it, I won't look at it. It'll be 3 days and went past.
Yeah.
And right?
I
It is
apologize.
you.
I was like, it is me. I am her.
But I think the reason I'm saying this is let's normalize having communication preferences because now
and talk about
because now we have way more than we did back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now that we have
absolutely.
more, let's talk about it. We put those
Mhm.
things out there.
Mhm.
It creates an environment for us to be intentional. Be intentional in your relationship. This way they sustain
Yes.
and they can get deeper and go further by being intentional.
Yeah.
Speaking about intentionality, you said that is like a theme of yours for this year.
Big thing. Well, I'm gonna be 43 in March, and I came to the realization. I was telling Chantel, I don't want to compartmentalize my friends anymore. I don't want to have a box of friends over here that I do this with, a box of friends over here that I do that with, and then I got my friends over here every now and then. I still want to turn up. I want to go over here. I want to be able to do it all with people. Can we go? Can we be on a family trip in Cabo and we having a few shots? But then you know what? Someone's over here. We got to lay hands and pray. I don't want to compartmentalize. Let's be real here and be honest.
Yeah.
It's if I'm over here, I'm spread thin.
Yeah.
And I just want to be intentional in my relationships.
I hear
and I want to do life.
And you want to go deeper.
We talk about doing life. What does that really mean? I don't want to do surface life. I want to do life with people. I'm intentional about my friendships, who I'm investing in, and I don't want to be over here with this one and over there with that one. I want to do life with people intentionally. We got kids, we got family. Can we grow together?
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
We do,
especially even more as business owners. Ain't nobody got time for just like the surface level. How's the weather? And we don't go beyond that type of relationships. Like people are really hurting and really like working through like really difficult things. So I love that. That's what I loved about y'all. I mean, we just kind of jumped right on in. When we first met. So this has been great. Okay, this has been such an amazing episode. Thank y'all so much for being here. So where can people connect with you, find you, learn more about what you guys are doing?
You can go to troyandshantel.com to find us there. On Instagram, we are Spartners. And we do have our Spartners podcast. You go to spartnerspodcast.com. And we do have a book as well. You can get our book from our website, troyandshantel.com. Our book is called Spartners, Discover the Value in Your Spouse as a Business Partner and Enrich Your Marriage.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. Yay. Yeah, this was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
having
having
us.
us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Wealth Within Reach. You need to subscribe. If you made it this long, hit the button and subscribe. If you're listening, make sure you give me a 5-star rating. We don't want anything less than that. 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify. But thank you so much. Share this with a friend. I'll see you next time. Are you listening to this and you're confused because you don't know what your next step is? You don't know what your next step is because you don't know what you need. Guess what? I got a resource for you. I created the Investor Roadmap Quiz to tell you exactly what you need to do based on exactly where you are. It's just a list of a few questions that's going to actually map out and tell you what you need to be focused on and what you need to be doing that will help you get to the next level. It only takes like 2 minutes. It's phenomenal. If you're looking to figure out your best next step, I want you to go to owningitandlivingit.com or go to the show notes and look for the Investor Roadmap Quiz because I want you to figure out what your best next step is. See you soon.